The next frontier for the anti-abortion movement, a nationwide ban. Advocates and some GOP lawmakers have started mobilizing around potential federal legislation to outlaw abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Is this computer voice?
The next frontier for the anti-abortion movement, a nationwide...
Leading anti-abortion groups and their allies in Congress would have been meeting behind the scenes to plan a national strategy that would kick in if the Supreme Court rolls back abortion rights this summer, including a push for a strict nationwide ban on the procedure if Republicans retake power in Washington. Do you think that they will overturn the filibuster to do it, chat? What do you think? What do you think, chat? Think they would overturn the filibuster to do it? Think they would go, oh, we just can't save those babies' lives. Filibuster. Maybe they would. I don't know. The effort, activists say, is designed to bring a fight that has been playing out largely in the courts and state legislatures to the national political stage, rallying conservatives around the issue in the midterms and pressuring potential 2024 GOP presidential candidates to take a stand.
Happy birthday. I wish I weren't crying.
Hey, thanks to the birthday wishes. Activists say their confidence stems from progress on two fronts. At the Supreme Court, a conservative majority appears ready to overturn Roe v. Wade decision that has protected abortion rights for nearly 50 years. Activists argue that in Texas, Republicans have paid no political price for banning abortion after cardiac activity is detected around 6 weeks of pregnancy. While a number of states have recently approved laws to ban abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy, the limit established in the Mississippi legislation at the heart of the case pending before the High Court. Instead, they now see the 6-week limit, what they call heartbeat legislation, as the preferred strategy because it would prevent far more abortions. This is a whole new ballgame, said Kristen Hawkins, president of Students for Life Action. The 50 years of standing at the Supreme Court door waiting for something to happen is over. A group of Republican senators has discussed at multiple meetings the possibility of banning abortion at around 6 weeks. The Senator James Lankford, who is in attendance, and said he would support the legislation. Senator Joni Ernst will introduce the legislation in the Senate, according to an anti-abortion advocate with knowledge of the discussions who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal strategy. One topic advocate, Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the anti-abortion group Susan B. Anthony List, has spoken privately with 10 possible Republican presidential contenders, including former President Donald Trump, to talk through the national anti-abortion strategy. Most of them, she said in an interview, assured her they would be supportive of a national ban and would be eager to make that policy a centerpiece of a presidential campaign. The original Roe v. Wade decision also was leaked to the press. Interesting. Students for Life Action, along with 9 other prominent anti-abortion groups, plans to send a letter to every Republican member of Congress on Monday, pushing them to embrace the heartbeat bill. The letter, which the group shared with the Washington Post, argues that a national 15-week ban would not go far enough. If we're not focusing on limiting early abortions, we really are not addressing the violence of abortion at all. The nationwide abortion ban would be extraordinarily difficult to pass, clearly given the need for 60 votes in the Senate to overcome a filibuster under current rules. Such a measure would encounter resistance from nearly all Democrats in addition to a handful of Republicans, which might raise questions about its constitutionality. The Senate is split 50-50, but with a handful of competitive races this year, neither party is expected to attain a filibuster-proof majority. The filibuster lasts only as long as the majority party wants it to. That's it, chat. That's it. The majority party wants to get rid of the filibuster, they get rid of it. A strict national ban is also likely to be impossible without an anti-abortion Republican president willing to sign it. However, picking such a fight could ignite liberal The early years of the Trump administration prompted huge protests, starting with the first Women's March the day after Trump's inauguration, though it remains unclear whether a rollback of Roe would reignite that energy. That's not reigniting shit. Oh, maybe it will. I don't want to be too pessimistic. Maybe it will. The possibility of a nationwide ban is terrifying, says Kelly Robinson, executive director of Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Yeah, no shit. They're going to arrest you, Kelly. Hey, Kelly. They're going to arrest you, Kelly. They're going to put you in prison. Damn, man. By them saying out loud their goal is to push a nationwide abortion ban, it makes clear that we have to elect more pro-reproductive health champions on the national level and in the states, she said. Discussions in Washington show how dramatically the political landscape around abortion has shifted in just a few years. Is it because people have changed their mind on abortion? Is it because of democracy? No, it's because of unelected judges. Washington Post poll shows that 6 in 10 Americans oppose overturning Roe, a number that has hardly changed in the past 2 decades. So all that's happened is the Republicans have kept their promises. But Trump reshaped the Supreme Court during his time in office, appointing 3 justices to create a 6-3 conservative majority. While considering Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban during oral arguments in December, Justice appeared open to overturning Roe. The court has also passed up 3 opportunities to overturn the Texas law, a clear violation of long-standing precedent. So it's a states' rights issue, but they're going to to try to pass a law, federal law banning it. Wouldn't this decision prevent that? No. They said that it would return it to people's elected representatives. So presumably they would be perfectly comfortable with federal Congress banning abortion. Also, if the libs in the next 6 months were to use the power they were elected to codify Roe, then it would also not be overturned. They already carve out exceptions for the filibuster whenever they want. The millisecond they get power next, the Republicans will do something to make it so they don't need a supermajority, pass the abortion ban, and poison pill it with a must-be filibuster proof in order to overturn the rule. Well, you can't do that. I mean, the filibuster rule is whatever the majority says it is. Republican lawmakers in state houses across the country have been racing to restrict the procedure ahead of the Supreme Court decision. Meanwhile, Democratic legislators have been laying the groundwork to turn their states into abortion sanctuaries, building clinics close to red state borders and passing laws that enshrine abortion rights. Wow, what a great country we have. Now on the brink of a potential Supreme Court victory that has been decades-long goal for the anti-abortion movement, activists see federal legislation as a new way to energize core conservative voters over the next 2 national election cycles. Some activists say the thinking has shifted even in the past few months, largely because of the success of the Texas law, with growing support in the movement for a 6-week ban. 93% of abortions take place in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. Did someone gift me subs? Thank you, everybody, for the bits in the subs. Get that. Meaning 15-week bans target a small fraction of abortion. Texas catapulted that bill into the public conversation and the public eye. Now that people across the country have grown comfortable with that law, she added, it could become consensus legislation. Robinson of Planned Parenthood disagrees with that assessment, arguing that the Texas laws motivated people across the country to understand the high stakes of the abortion debate. So it was the Texas abortion law passed May 19th, 2021. So at that point, that was the highest point of Biden's approval. It was like his absolute high point. And since that point, his approval has dropped. So what is the big anti-abortion or pro-abortion clapback that she's talking about? I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Clyburn to campaign with Cuellar ahead of Texas primary runoff. House Majority Whip James Clyburn will campaign with vulnerable Rep. Henry Cuellar in Texas this month ahead of the state's primary runoff. Oh, is that right? They're supporting an anti-abortion Democrat in a primary? That's odd. Who's been raided by the FBI? In January, Cuellar's home and campaign offices were raided by the FBI. Can you, chat? Hey, centrist, can you explain this one to me? That if it's not corrupt, what is it? Can you explain it for me? You and me, we should chat. Hey, chat. Hey, centrist, what's going on here? FBI raid, anti-abortion, voted with Trump 69% of the time, safe Democratic district, or at least Democratic-leaning district. What's going on here? What's going on here? Why are they campaigning for him? Not just like staying neutral. They're campaigning. Why is Nancy Pelosi coming out to Texas to campaign for this guy? Are they trying to become corrupt? Are they he's got an FBI investigation? You're mixing the party up with an FBI investigated criminal? What's going on here? I thought they were progressive. What's going on here? What's going on? Is corruption such a bad thing? I think that, in light of everything we know, believing that the Democratic leadership are all a cabal of pedophiles is not the craziest thing someone could come up with. I think there's evidence for that. For example, I'll give you an example. Bill Clinton is on the Epstein flight logs and actually went and joined Kevin Spacey, Jeffrey Epstein, and who was the other guy? Chris Tucker on a special little jaunt. So I don't know. I mean, thinking they're covering stuff up is not the craziest idea I've ever heard. Additionally, Cuellar is facing a highly contested primary runoff against progressive candidate Jessica Cisneros on May 24th. Cisneros chaired Cuellar by less than 2 points in the primary election last month. In 2020, she lost to Cuellar by 4 points. So the abortion, causing some sort of big strike back never happened. That was bullshit. She cited the crowds that have gathered recently to protest anti-abortion bills in Kentucky, Nebraska, and Florida. Well, if there are some crowds protesting, well, we're practically on the precipice of armed rebellion. People are awakening to the anti-abortion tragedy, and I think we will see this reaction continue to grow and peak after the Supreme Court decision, Robinson said. Speaking to a group of students and advocates at the University of Virginia in late April, Hawkins also emphasized the importance of the Texas law in changing public opinion on restrictive abortion bans. On a recent trip to Texas, she told the crowd, she saw women in cell phones and business suits. Nearly 65% of all abortions have been illegal in Texas since September 1st, and somehow women are still free to be women. It's shocking, I know, she said. Studies show that the majority of Texas women seeking abortions after 6 weeks have been able to access abortion pills illegally online. or travel to abortion clinics out of state, an option that would not be possible under a national ban. If the Supreme Court rolls back Roe, the states will spring into action first. In recent months, she said she has spoken to at least 20 governors about their post-decision plans, helping them understand which laws could take effect for their state and what they would need to do to activate the legislation. For example, the 13 trigger bans across the country, which ban abortion outright as soon as Roe is overturned, all work a little differently, she said. Other states have various anti-abortion laws that have been blocked by the courts and could come back to life. We need to make sure there is perfect clarity on the status of laws in their state. After the states have taken the lead, she said, momentum will start to build in Washington. Republicans will probably mobilize around certain bills that have already been introduced, including restrictions on minors traveling across state lines for abortions. Several abortion bans have already been introduced in Congress. A 6-week abortion ban has been introduced in the House by Rep. Mike Kelly, and the Life at Conception Act, which would recognize a fetus as a person with equal protections under the 14th Amendment, has been introduced in both chambers. 19 Republican senators and well over 100 Republicans in the House have co-sponsored the measure, signaling that many would like to see a total ban on abortion. While none of those proposals have gone anywhere in the past, activists say the Supreme Court decision give them more prominence in the public debate. Abortion will be banned in red and purple states, codified in blue states, then federally banned. That's kind of what I think we're on track for right now, to be honest with you. Langford said he would like to see a national cap for abortions, establishing a limit on when abortions can be performed, in addition to various bans on the state level. At the federal level, he said, there will be a dialogue to try to figure out what is the right moment. If the High Court rules with the anti-abortion movement, Republican lawmakers will be presented with various types of abortion bans. The two leading proposals, she added, would probably be a 15-week ban and a 6-week ban. Some activists and lawmakers say the momentum has clearly shifted toward tighter restrictions. From what? From the Supreme Court? What momentum? It's not like there's people on the streets calling for abortion bans. This is an elite-led movement. Kelly, who introduced a 6-week ban in the House, said he doesn't understand why anti-abortion Republicans would settle for a 15-week ban if Roe is overturned. I'm not willing to compromise that, he said. I think it's morally unacceptable. In her letter to Republican members of Congress, Hawkins describes Mississippi's 15-week ban as a tool that served its purpose in leading us to where we are today. The year is 2048. Technocrat Party has won re-election and promises to offer access to a subscription service to abortion. Monthly fees apply or their equipment can be rented for at-home use. Yeah. Thanks, Grease Mags. But this pivotal moment, in which almost anything is possible, it's crucial to establish the difference between our previous tactics, such as limiting abortion at 15 weeks, and our goals or current strategies, the letter says. Susan B. Anthony List fully supports both a national 6-week ban and a 15-week ban. Midterms will be a test to see how voters respond to each type of ban, she said. Her organization is tracking 9 battleground states and many more House districts, she said, where candidates will vote support for various degrees of abortion restrictions. After the midterm, she said, she and her staff will assess each messaging prove most successful. Chris Christie said the states should make the decision. Wow. Infrastructure necessary for monthly subscription won't exist by 2048? Yeah. You have an obligation to like, comment, and subscribe.